The autumn leaves fell like confetti, painting the streets in shades of amber and crimson. In a small town nestled between rolling hills, Alex had always believed in love. For the past 3 years, he had devoted himself to Mia, a vibrant and ambitious woman with dreams as vast as the sky. Their relationship was a whirlwind of laughter, late-night talks, and shared ambitions. Alex had never doubted Mia's loyalty, until he stumbled upon a message that shattered his world. It was a crisp Saturday morning when Alex decided to surprise Mia at her favorite cafe. As he approached, he noticed her laughing with someone he didn't recognize. The sight of her happiness felt like a knife to his gut, but he dismissed the feeling, attributing it to jealousy. However, as he drew closer, he overheard snippets of their conversation. "Can you keep a secret?" the stranger asked, a smirk playing on his lips. "Of course," Mia replied, leaning in closer, her eyes sparkling. The words echoed in Alex's mind, igniting a fire of doubt. Who was this person? Why were they so close? As the cafe door swung open, he stepped inside, heart pounding in his chest. Mia's laughter faded as she turned to see him. The smile on her face faltered, and in that moment, Alex felt the weight of betrayal. "Hey, babe," Mia called out, her voice too bright, too rehearsed. "Mind if I join?" Alex asked, forcing a smile as he pulled up a chair. The stranger, Jake as Mia introduced him, was charming and charismatic, but Alex couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Throughout their conversation, he watched Mia, noticing how she leaned into Jake's every word, her laughter flowing too freely. The seeds of suspicion sprouted in Alex's mind, and he knew he had to dig deeper. The following days were agonizing. Alex became a detective, checking Mia's phone when she wasn't around, scrutinizing every social media post, and questioning her late nights at work. Each discovery felt like a blow to his heart. Secretive texts, late-night phone calls, and a sudden absence of affection. The gut feeling turned into a bitter reality when he finally found a message that confirmed his worst fears. "Can't wait to see you tonight. Let's keep this our little secret. Love you." He felt numb, an overwhelming sense of betrayal wrapping around him like a suffocating blanket. How could she? How could the woman he loved betray him so profoundly? The anger coursed through him, and he was determined to confront Mia. But he also wanted her to feel the consequences of her actions, not just for herself but for everyone who had ever loved her. The following weekend, Alex devised a plan. He invited Mia to a party, claiming it was a celebration for a friend's promotion. The truth was, he wanted to expose her in front of those who cared about her, hoping the shame would pierce through her facade. He spent the days leading up to the event meticulously gathering evidence of her infidelity, including text messages, photos, and even a few recorded conversations with Jake. The night of the party arrived, and Alex's heart raced with anticipation and dread. The atmosphere was lively, with friends chatting, laughter echoing through the halls, and music playing softly in the background. Mia arrived, her face lighting up the room. She greeted everyone with warm hugs and smiles, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing just beneath the surface. As the party progressed, Alex could see the closeness between Mia and her friends. They shared stories, laughed together, and toasted to life and love. But Alex's mind was consumed with thoughts of his confrontation. He could feel the tension building within him, a volcano waiting to erupt. "Can I have everyone's attention?" Alex called out, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. The music faded, and conversations quieted as everyone turned to him. "I have something important to share," he continued, his heart pounding. Mia's face paled, and Alex could see the realization dawning in her eyes. He pulled out his phone and began showing the evidence. Text messages, photos of Mia with Jake, and even the recorded conversations. Gasps filled the room as disbelief washed over Mia's friends. The betrayal hung in the air, thick and suffocating. "Mia, I thought you loved me," Alex said, his voice cracking slightly. "How could you do this?" Mia's face flushed with humiliation, anger, and confusion. "Alex, please, you don't understand. It's not what it looks like." "It's exactly what it looks like," he replied, feeling a mix of vindication and sorrow. "You've been lying to me, and now everyone knows the truth." Mia's eyes darted around the room, searching for support among her friends. Some looked at her with pity, while others expressed anger and betrayal. Alex felt a strange sense of triumph mixed with heartache. He had exposed her, but at what cost? Suddenly, Jake barged into the room, his expression fierce. "What's going on here?" he demanded, eyes narrowing at Alex. "Just revealing a little secret," Alex replied, maintaining eye contact with Mia. "I think you're making a mistake, man," Jake said, his tone defensive. Mia stepped forward, desperation etched on her face. "Jake, don't. I can explain." Before she could say more, Alex spoke up. You don't need to explain anything. You've shown your true colors. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about how you treat the people who care about you." Mia turned to Jake, her voice trembling. "I never meant to hurt you. I thought..." "Thought what?" Alex interrupted, frustration boiling over. "That you could have it all? That we wouldn't find out?" The tension escalated, voices overlapping as friends chimed in with their opinions. Mia looked lost, caught between two worlds. The party quickly transformed from a celebration into a battleground of emotions, with Mia at the center. Just when it seemed the chaos would never end, Mia's best friend Sarah stepped forward. "Mia, you need to take responsibility for your actions. You've hurt Alex, and you've hurt us too." The room fell silent as Mia crumbled under the weight of the accusations. "I'm so sorry," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought I could manage everything, but I was wrong." But before Alex could process her words, Jake, who had been quiet until now, turned to Mia and said, "You know what? I was never interested in you. This was all a game for me too. I thought you were an easy target." The betrayal cut deeper than any of Alex's evidence ever could. The room erupted into murmurs and Mia's face went pale. She was trapped in a web of lies, spun not just by her but by someone she trusted. In the days following that disastrous party, my emotions swung wildly between anger, heartbreak, and a strange sense of relief. The truth was finally out, and Mia was forced to confront the choices she had made. Friends and family, who had once showered her with unconditional support, distanced themselves as the reality of her betrayal sank in. She reached out to me a few times, but I ignored her messages. I needed time to heal, to let the wounds scab over before I could face her again. One night, nearly a month after the party, there was a knock on my door. I opened it to find Mia standing there in the chilly autumn air, her face shadowed in the dim porch light. She looked thinner, almost fragile, with none of the spark I had once loved. It was a Mia I barely recognized. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. I hesitated, unsure if I was ready to face her yet, but something in her expression softened my resolve. I stepped aside, allowing her to enter. As she sat across from me in the living room, the air between us felt heavy, thick with the things we hadn't yet said. "Alex, I know you probably hate me, and I don't blame you," she started, her voice cracking. "I've spent the last month tearing myself apart over what I did to you, to everyone. I don't even recognize myself." I crossed my arms, unsure if I was ready to believe her remorse. "Why now, Mia? Why come here and tell me this?" "Because I need to own up to it," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. I thought I could juggle my feelings, thought I could be everything to everyone, but it was a lie. I got so caught up in the thrill of it all, in Jake's attention, but I realized now that I was just fooling myself. And I destroyed the one good thing in my life. I lost you. The sincerity in her voice took me off guard. I could feel my own anger melting, replaced by a deep sadness. I wanted to hate her, but seeing her like this, a shadow of the person she once was, left me feeling empty. She looked up at me, her eyes filled with desperation. "I don't expect you to forgive me, Alex. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know how deeply sorry I am. You were everything to me, and I ruined it. If I could take it all back, I would. I'd do anything." The rawness in her voice stirred something inside me. I looked away, unwilling to let her see the conflict in my face. My head told me to stay strong, to let her live with the consequences of her actions. But my heart ached. I had loved her with everything I had. "Mia, I don't know if I can ever forgive you," I said, my voice barely audible. "You broke something in me that may never be whole again." She nodded, wiping away her tears. "I understand," she whispered. "I deserve that." Just as I was about to tell her that it was best if she left, there was another knock on the door. Frowning, I stood and opened it, only to be greeted by the last person I ever expected to see, Jake. He stood there with a look of nervous anticipation, as if he had been working up the courage to show up for days. I shot him a dark glare, my fists clenching at my sides. "What the hell are you doing here?" I spat. Jake raised his hands in surrender. "Listen, man, I know you hate me, and I deserve it. But I came here because I've got something to tell you. Something I think Mia needs to hear too." Against my better judgment, I stepped aside, letting him in. He walked into the room, his gaze meeting Mia's, who looked as stunned as I felt. "Mia," he started, taking a deep breath. "I wasn't completely honest with you. And Alex, I wasn't honest with you either. The truth is, I never cared about either of you. To me, it was all a bet." Mia's mouth fell open, and I felt the blood drain from my face. "A bet?" I know this sounds horrible, Jake continued, but my friends and I, we used to make these ridiculous bets about how far we could push things. How much we could get someone to fall for us even if they were taken. Mia was just the latest game to me. I wanted to see how much damage I could do. The room was silent as his confession settled in. Mia's face was pale, her expression a mixture of horror and devastation. She looked as if she might collapse. "You did all this just to win a bet?" she choked out, her voice barely more than a whisper. Jake had the decency to look ashamed. "I was a jerk, and I've lost a lot of friends over this. When I saw the fallout, when I realized how much I hurt both of you, I knew I had to come clean." I felt a strange mixture of pity and rage. Everything Mia and I had gone through, the heartbreak, the lies, the betrayal, it had all been orchestrated for his own amusement. I clenched my fists, trying to keep my emotions in check. Mia turned to me, her eyes filled with sorrow. "Alex, I don't even know what to say. I thought I was making these choices, that it was something I wanted, but it was all just manipulation." Her voice cracked, and I could see the enormity of her own shame and guilt settling on her shoulders. She wasn't just sorry for what she'd done to me. She was horrified by the person she'd become, tricked into thinking that Jake's shallow attention was worth risking everything. "Mia, you fell for it. You let him control you, but you still made the choice to betray me," I said, my voice steady yet cold. "Maybe Jake manipulated you, but you let him in." She nodded slowly, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I know, and I can't take any of it back, but I can promise you that I'll spend the rest of my life being a better person. Learning from this, I don't expect anything from you, Alex. I'm sorry." I looked between the two of them, Jake, the smug charmer finally realizing the emptiness of his actions, and Mia, a woman shattered by her own poor choices and the manipulation she'd fallen prey to. In that moment, I felt a sense of clarity. "I forgive you," I said softly, surprising even myself. Both Mia and Jake looked at me in shock. "Do you forgive me?" Mia whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. "Yes, because holding on to this anger, carrying this burden, is only going to hurt me. You both have to live with what you've done. I don't need to keep suffering for your mistakes." For the first time in weeks, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. Forgiving her didn't mean I wanted her back. It didn't mean I excused her actions, but it meant I could move forward, unburdened by the bitterness that had weighed me down. I stood and opened the door. "Goodbye, Mia and Jake. I hope this experience teaches you something. Go live your lives, and maybe try not to hurt anyone else along the way." They both left, a stunned silence lingering as they stepped into the night. I watched them walk away, feeling a sense of closure I hadn't known I needed. Over the following months, I rebuilt my life. I spent time with friends, focused on work, and began finding joy in the little things again. Mia eventually moved away, starting fresh in a new town. I heard she was trying to make amends, and part of me hoped she found peace. As for me, I found that forgiveness was my true triumph. It was the act that set me free, that allowed me to step into a new chapter with a heart unburdened. Life went on, and in letting go, I had finally won. Thanks so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts about this story, and share your ideas for future videos. See you in the next video.